Let's do this! Come on. Now we're getting somewhere.
Hey everyone, welcome to our 7th episode of Guess the Rank. And we've got some improvements today. Apparently you can add a poll to your videos, so we're going to be using that to guess before the big reveal. I wish I knew that sooner. We also won't have any music in this episode, so let me know how you feel about that. So we've got Winston on Numbani, which is really good because we've touched briefly on that in our Zenyatta video. I mentioned how important it is to dive the first point, and here we are, starting on offense with a Winston. The only non-diver we have on this team comp is Soldier, who can still be useful, although a Genji would be preferable. So this is a good example of the route a Winston should take. He probably should have moved further up to allow him to jump past D.Va. He dropped his shield at the right time there, as it allows him to hold his position for a bit longer, but really what he needs is the rest of his team supporting that dive. By my calculations, Anna should be up here. If you've dove this point before, you'll be aware that you'll often find Anna standing there to support her team. In this case there wasn't, just more D.Va, which isn't a very rewarding fight. I can see that this player has definitely played Winston before, as they're holding onto their bubble until Zaya's bubble has disappeared. That's a big mistake a lot of Winston players make. I'm not sure why the enemy D.Va stayed committed to this fight, as it was never going to go in her favour with Mercy healing Winston. That's a good life-saving bubble from Zaya there, things could have ended badly. Winston knows to duck in and out of his barrier as well in order to maintain damage but avoid receiving too much. This wasn't a significant example here, but I hope to see more of it.
TP. I can hear it. I'm gonna find it. Down the corner here. You're good. I got it.
This was a good ult here and I kind of anticipated it. Symmetra can be quite punishing if she latches onto a Winston early, and obviously given the TP is there as well, it's important that Winston can do as much damage as possible. I would actually move off at this point and dive the supports, because an nano boosted Ryan could be quite dangerous, and if he's being healed by the supports, it's counterproductive to be zapping him down. That being said, it didn't really matter here in the end. I'm surprised the contest is actually happening, to be honest. Winston saved only just by having his barrier against the D.Va ult.
Nice. Get started,
As you can see, Winston dives in here alone, but he hasn't actually overcommitted. He uses his barrier to allow him some breathing space to move back to an angle where his team can support him, making it harder for the enemies to kill him. This is a fine art, and this guy seems to have done it relatively well. The only thing I'm not a big fan of here is the fact that he seems to be spending so much time fighting tanks. It may be to bait Ryan to drop his shield, but if he dives to the backline it will have the same effect anyway. He gets there in the end, but diving the backline earlier could have changed the outlook of that fight.
Nice job. Oh, he still pinned me.
These Zaya bubbles are really on point this game so far.
Nice job, guys. Well done.
It's best to take it easy with the next dive, as there's no point in trying to shut them down outside of spawn if your payload is nowhere near the choke yet. It's not a bad idea to ult here to counter Soldier's ult. The problem is though, he still has to target you, and he doesn't have to do that if he doesn't want to, so in this case it didn't really help. It was going to be tricky here for Winston to dive Anna without the rest of the team pressuring the front line. Because they're able to just turn around and focus Winston, there's not much he can do. Fortunately with the support of Mercy he can stay alive. Naturally, this part is where diving becomes a lot more difficult, because it's a lot more open and the enemy team have plenty of opportunities to shut down that momentum and cripple them at the choke.
Watch out for Zaya, she's got high touch.
Oh, I'm in that.
It's alright, we got transfers.
Oh my god, thanks.
Uh-oh.
Fire behind.
Fire, hop on fire. Fire's still lit, fire's lit.
Good commitment to killing Farah there. It doesn't often work, but it's worth a try if Winston can afford to absorb some rocket damage. At this point Winston could probably have been a bit more aware of the state of his team, and made the effort to back off, as that's time wasted now.
You can launch it from far away.
Although there's going to be even more time wasted if their Pharah dies here.
I just die, Hunter.
Hold it down.
Alright, we're ready to go. You coming?
Okay, I've got ult ready, but push all together.
Yeah.
Give all fire.
I has no nade.
I'm hiding.
Nice pick.
Anna has no slip. They're hiding.
This is a good example of how resilient Anna can be without a proper dive. She's got so many options to escape,
One mercy, one of supports.
but it's good that Winston is trying because she's definitely a key target. He just needs some more support from his team here.
He has no slip.
I come back here.
This ult was really more of a harassment than it was actually focusing someone to kill them. Probably wouldn't have been a bad idea there to focus someone like Anna to actually try and kill her, although you may have been slept. Mercy's quite a tricky one to kill when you're in your ult because you can just fly away and you won't be able to catch up to her.
Mercy's hiding back.
Back where?
At the back of the.
Oh, yes, yeah. No, we got off guard.
Oh, no one was on the point. That's a bit of a mistake there, but it
It's all
shouldn't
good.
really matter too much. They pushed it pretty far.
We pushed it pretty fast, so.
I'm quite impressed with what I've seen so far. I'm really excited to see how the defense goes. Counter dive is quite common for first point defense at a high level, but it needs to be orchestrated well. I wouldn't really say this comp is a counter dive though, just a trash comp with Junkrat, Mei and Widow. It's a shame because the attacking comp fit perfectly.
Watch out the way.
At least this Junkrat knows to leave a trap outside the enemy spawn though.
Okay, looks like they're going for high ground or either that or that.
Yeah, we should.
Interesting the enemy team are running Mei too, but it doesn't pay off for them with a really broken push.
Mei's low.
I do find it crazy how unaware the enemy team are when Winston jumps in.
I'm on down.
The problem is with their comp, if Mei alone is the only one trying to do anything about him, you know, he can just run away or bubble before she freezes him anyway. So it's a bit of a tricky situation for them in the first place with the kind of team comp they're attacking with.
I'm on armor. Armor down.
Thank you, Mercy, keeping me alive there.
Yeah, good heals, dude. Let's hold. Can we hold this? Hold this side, just. Because I'll probably come through here again. They got a Reinhardt.
Yeah, I can wall off the first one if we hold here.
No one can hide from my sight.
Looks like they're going on these. I think Ryan's going on main. Looks like they're going main, guys. We have to bully that armor.
Try and get deeper out of mech.
This here is a very good example of counter dive play. Although it's just Winston alone, he manages to single out the enemy team's Anna while the enemy team are distracted with getting on the point. His shield play is also really good here, although the Anna failed by not managing to catch herself in the grenade.
Genji above.
Good stuff, guys. Well done. The heals are on point.
Hello there. Hi.
Flush your
It's
shadow.
nice to see a player choosing their moment carefully to drop down and do damage, as opposed to just expecting the healers to keep them alive while they face tank the whole enemy team.
Behind.
Yeah, I'm just on this. I caught trans.
If you decide to push up main road on Numbani, you need to be very aware of the high ground. If you can't do anything to push people off of the high ground, you can't gain advantage when you're trying to take hold of the point. All they have to do is send their tanks down to deal with the point. They can keep their DPS up top and they have a massive advantage.
Up top.
I bet the enemy team's healers are so annoyed that Winston is still able to keep jumping on them and their team do nothing to help them.
I'm on Deva. I'm bullying
There's a
Deva.
boosted soldier down the
Don't know where Reinhardt is.
Watch out for Bob.
Guys.
Bubbled.
Oh my god, you saved my life.
This is quite possibly, though, one of the first bad decisions I've seen from Winston.
Reinhardt.
His ult isn't worth using unless you've got plenty of space to push people off the map or you're about to die. He's far more effective in his normal form unless he can corner people. So it's best just to do as much damage as possible until you're low and then use your ult. In this scenario it would have been much more effective.
Bubbling.
I'm getting focused. Okay. careful, they're gonna get reckless. I'm down.
The
Go to
res.
Anna, go to Anna. If you need heals, I'm dead.
Even as the
One
battle
there.
got underway, Winston's
there.
priorities still lie with trying to take care of Zenyatta. It's fine because there's not much more he can do in this scenario. If he still had his ult,
Guys, we
he
gotta
could
get on.
contest. That's the thing, this is what I'm saying about the ult. It would have been a much more useful way to use it here.
Come on, guys. We can do it.
And then Mercy could get back and use her
You wanna
res.
nano me? Nano me.
But she does make it back anyway, and they
Yeah,
manage to
right.
turn the tide of the fight.
Line down.
Messi up back.
Messi doesn't got res.
This was a weird comp to play on defense, but the enemy team couldn't work out a way to
Back
beat
to
it.
middle.
Funnily
I have
enough,
res now though. Get her.
do you know the comp that would
Down.
beat it?
Good diva.
Dive.
Nice, nice, nice. GG, guys.
Good game, guys. Well done.
Before we take a guess at the rank, let's look at what we think of them as a player. Good. They have a great handle on Winston's mechanics. They manage the high jump every time, and use their shield effectively to feather in and out to avoid taking fatal damage. They prioritise targets effectively, in most cases looking to target the support heroes first. Positioning, they're never really making themselves centre of attention until the point when they dive in. This is important as Winston because he's such a big target. He can easily charge ults for the enemy team, and being a close range hero, he just can't afford to stand there like an idiot. What can he improve though? From this game it's hard to spot that many improvements. The defensive team comp was all wrong and wasn't really that suitable for a Winston, but they made it work. And hey, if they're going to play a weird mix of heroes, this player may as well play what they're confident with. I'd say he could probably put a bit more forethought into his ults. He could definitely have used that ult at the end there to contest a point, and it was kind of useless to use it against Soldier and Mercy in that fight. The other improvement, and it's not such a big deal, but it will be as they climb higher, coordinating the dive. As they climb higher, there'll be more of a requirement for a very coordinated dive as opposed to Winston going in and doing whatever he can. He'll need a Genji or a Pharah or someone there to help him with the damage. So it's not so much an improvement, but something to consider going forward. So let's use this poll system properly, shall we? What rank do you think it is? I think it's tough, because I overestimated the last one, and I don't want to do the same thing again, but I feel like this guy is genuinely Diamond. But hold on, I feel like this guy is Diamond, but I also feel like he's had it really easy this game. The enemy team were not on point, as in, they were not playing well at all. And the Winston's team comp on defense really spells out lower ranks for me. That's why actually this time I'm gonna go for Plat. And what is it?
Yeah,
Plat.
but that was
I'm glad I'm right here. I really feel like this player can climb higher though, and their skill level is above that of a Platinum
Yeah, because
Winston
I
player.
heard it get cast and I wasn't nanoed. I'm like, wait, what? And then I
I'm
saw
sure
someone
they
fly
will
through
climb in
and-
time, and Winston is such a popular hero right now that they should be able to have the impact on the games that they need to. They're definitely one of the better players I've seen mechanically so far this series, but Winston is a strange hero because he's not so aim based, so it's harder to deduce really their skill level from that. You guys don't actually need to let me know what you thought, because there's a poll for that now. Even so though, I'd really like to know what you think of the video in general, and any extra thoughts you have. Thanks for watching, and thanks a lot for the 1,000 subscribers. I'm really happy with that. It's good progress. Thanks again.